Good afternoon, everyone. I pray that your Sunday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness, that maybe you heard a message that filled your spirit and helped you to feel optimistic. Maybe you spent some time in your backyard, maybe sitting on your front porch. Maybe you took a nice walk. Maybe you saw some flowers that were blooming that you never saw before. Maybe you had a great piece of watermelon. Maybe you ate a piece of food that just made you go, But whatever it is, I hope and pray that you had a great Sunday, at least some portion of that day. We're continuing our conversation about narcissists, and last Friday we talked about there are two types of narcissists. There are overt and they are covert. The overt ones are the ones who just believe that they are all that in a bag of chips, and they are not afraid to express it. It's seen in all their interactions. They let you know that I am it. I am better than you, and I do things better than you, and anything that you have done, I have done better. And we have kind of looked at how that may be displayed in some politicians and in other people. But today we're going to talk about covert narcissists. Covert narcissists, it's still narcissism, but it's displayed in a different type of way. And so for the next couple of days, I'll be talking about different signs of that you're possibly interacting with someone who's a covert narcissist. The disclaimer is some of these signs may not necessarily, just in and of themselves, may not necessarily make someone a narcissist. But if the person you're dealing with displays multiple of these characteristics, then you may want to pay attention or may have an aha moment that, that's what I'm dealing with. So the first sign is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is someone who has passive-aggressive behavior and how they display their anger. And I want to review some of the signs of passive-aggressive behavior. It includes resentment and opposition to the demands of others. Someone who's passive-aggressive really does not, they resent the fact that you may ask them to do something, or you may ask them to show up, or you may ask them to be present, that you may ask them to share their feelings. They resent it, and they will become oppositional. And it may even be something that they want to do. They just resent the fact that you're asking them. They want it to be their idea. But instead of saying, or having a conversation, they kind of simmer in this resentment, and they will do oppositional things. If you say, can you take the trash out? Now, you both live in the same house and the trash is overflowing. They know the trash needs to go out, but because you asked, and this moves into the next sign, they will procrastinate. And procrastination and intentional mistakes in response to others' demands. That's the second sign, procrastination and intentional mistakes. So using the garbage thing, they'll procrastinate. They're going to do it when they feel like doing it. They're doing it not because you asked them to do it now, not because the trash is overflowing, because they resent the fact that you asked them, but they're going to procrastinate. And maybe when they take the trash out, they may drop stuff along the way outside, or they take it out right after the trash people had come. Or the best example I like is, you say, well, can you help out and wash the dishes? And they'll wash them, but the dishes will not be completely clean. And so that's a part of how they're taking out their passive-aggressive anger. They'll do what you ask, but they resent it. They'll take their time doing it, and they'll intentionally make mistakes simply because you asked them to do it. A third sign of passive-aggressive behavior is they can be quite cynical or sullen or have a hostile attitude. You may say, oh, this is the best ice cream I've ever had. Here, try it. And instead of just agreeing with you, but because you made this, stated it, they may say, I've had better. I wonder, they should have more flavors. It costs too much. And they're doing all of this, but deep down inside, they actually like the ice cream. They actually like the flavor. But because they're angry, because they're resenting the fact that it had not come from them, because again, they feel superior. Okay, well, that's going to move into something else. But because whatever is going on with them, they're quite cynical. You may say, let's go on a trip to Baltimore so that we can go to a really good restaurant I heard a review of. And they may be like, well, it's going to be traffic and it's going to take too long to get there. It's probably not going to be parking. And, you know, that neighborhood probably isn't safe. And the food probably isn't even that good. It's, so they're quite cynical. And they may even take it any further. If they go, they may sit in the restaurant and refuse to talk to you because now they're sullen, because they're mad that you asked them to go. They're mad that they agreed to go. And so as opposed to enjoying the ambiance, enjoying conversation with you, they may sit there and not say much of anything to you because they're sullen or have a completely hostile attitude. And the fourth thing is frequent complaints about feeling underappreciated or cheated. And the best example I can give is, let's say you're partnered with someone, you're married to someone who is passive aggressive. And you say to them, they've done something that made you feel sad. And so as opposed to you, because you have good mental health behaviors, as opposed to you saying, you made me sad, you would say in a healthier way, when you did this, it made me feel sad. And as opposed to them saying, oh, I'm sorry, or, oh, let me explain what I really meant, it's almost as if they did not hear what you said. They immediately respond with, well, when you did such and such. It's almost like a tit for tat. And then they begin to talk about, and they give you a whole litany of things that you have done that you weren't even aware of had affected them in a particular way. So those are the 4 signs of passive aggressive behavior. I want to emphasize, just because someone may have passive aggressive behavior does not necessarily make them a covert narcissist. It just happens to be one of the traits of covert narcissism. So I feel like I need to stop here and move on, but I think I'm going to give you one more trait for covert narcissism, and we will build on it this week. So the first trait that a person you're dealing with may be a covert narcissist is passive aggressive methods of youth displaying their anger. And along with that is criticizing and judging from the sidelines. They will not be the ones to come directly to you and say, I don't like this or I don't like that. But instead, they will make snide remarks. They will be critical, but from the sideline. They sometimes are seen as really quiet people who seem to be really, really nice. But if you actually listen to what they're saying, they're being quite critical. If you say, well, I think did you like this particular movie? Or come go to the movies with me. And because it wasn't their idea, and you get to the movie, as you're trying to enjoy it, they're sitting on the side being quite critical of what's going on. On Facebook or on social media, they may be the ones who are writing comments and judging people's posts, and they really don't know much about the post itself. They may not have even read the post, but they're criticizing it and they're judging it from the sideline. And they do that, and this is the third trait of covert narcissists, because they feel pious and superior. And pious usually is meaning holier than thou, but they feel quite superior. They're what is the word? They feel like they're better than you. Now, they're not going to do it the way an overt narcissist does, which lets you know to make no question about it, I am better than you, and because look at me, can't you tell? They do it in a much more quiet way. It's almost when they're interacting with you, there's an air that they are of arrogance, of just pure arrogance. Arrogance in the sense of you're not up to my level. You're beneath me. And so we're going to pause now, and I would invite you to, if you are interested, you can go back and review the video from last Friday as we began to talk about narcissism in general. And again, I invite you not to look at your partner or look at the people in your lives and say, see, this is what she said, and so now I know that you're a narcissist. They may or may not be. These are things to just pay attention to. These are things to just note, particularly in relationships that you are finding problematic, particularly in relationships where you're trying to figure out how can we make this thing work. I've been doing the best that I can do. I've been trying to be very intentional about self-reflection. I've tried to be loving and kind, and it still does not seem to matter. And I invite you to consider all these things on purpose. I just came back from a really nice walk. For those who have asked, I thank you for my prayers. My neck is, it's getting a lot better. Praise the Lord. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Love you all. Bye-bye.